Welcome back to more Cake Yes Mom Badass at a Bar. I'm your girl Jalena, and today I'm gonna show y'all real quickly how I put together this Lego cake that I did this past weekend. So I'm gonna go ahead and just explain a couple of things, and if you want to see behind the scenes, visit the HBIC group. A link is in the description below. If you don't know what my HBIC Facebook group is, it is a group where I get real personal with how I run my business, the day-to-day, the behind the scenes. You also get pricing information, how I handle certain things. You get all those close-ups, so that way it will better, oh Lord, not better speak, that's for sure. It will better help you run your business, and you could have been in this business for 5 minutes or 5 years. It doesn't matter what level you're on, we have something for you there. So check it out, just click the link down below. Yeah, so let's move on into the tutorial. So first things first, the toppers I made in this were not edible. They were made out of paper, which was amazing because I didn't have to worry about making it out of fondant and it falling apart. Granted, I could have made it out of edible paper, but I also didn't want to. 1, I knew they weren't going to eat it. 2, I didn't want to waste edible paper for that reason. And 3, I needed something a little more sturdier than just like wafer paper. So that's why I opted to use the poster paper. I used poster board, some mounting tape, obviously some scissors you're gonna need. I went online, I found a font as the same as Lego font. I wrote out the child's name and I traced it because I wanted to make sure I had the right height and shape and size for these letters. I didn't want to freehand it. I wasn't trying to like set myself back in time. I didn't have enough time for this, so I just was like, let me go ahead and download the font. You can download the font. I linked it down below if you're interested. It's not my font, but you can get it for free. It's a free font. You can download online. You're welcome. For any of y'all doing a Lego cake, y'all don't understand how much energy this cake took from me. I needed to take literally a whole day and a half to kind of recoup and get my brain together and get myself situated back together because I was so tired and so exhausted. You know, it just be like that sometimes. That's the life of cake. So yeah, so for his name, I cut it out in white individual letters, and then I cut out an outline in black and an outline in yellow. I use mounting tape to adhere everything, and to kind of give it that 2D 3D effect, I use some poster board that I cut up in little squares and kind of stacked those on top of each other until I was good with the amount of space in between. And yeah, again, like I said, I used mounting tape to do all that. Now when I needed the age, which was the number 1, and the name Loyal adhered to the cake, what I did was I just made like a concoction using some wire and using some poster board, foam board actually, and I pushed the wire through the foam board, and then I used some hot glue. No, did I use hot glue? No, I used mounting tape to adhere another piece of foam board to it so that way it can hide the wire. And then when I was ready to adhere it to the name, I used hot glue and hot glued it to the back of the name, and then I stuck the wire through the actual cake. FYI, you'll find out later that the red part, the red tier, is actually not real cake. It's a dummy cake. I recommend that you don't stick the wire in the dummy cake first. As you see here, as I did on screen, I later took the wire out of the cake and then adhered it to the name and then stuck it back in. Yeah, it was getting a little bit of a disaster, so don't do what you see I did here. For the cake board, I went out to the Lego store and I bought some Legos. Okay, I bought some Legos. It was really cute. You go into the store and they got some shit for you for the Legos, and you get to pick what Legos you want. But I had to get 4 bases, which is like the green base, which kind of acts as like the grass for the Lego world, you know what I mean? So they come in different colors, but I got green, and then I glued that to my base using my glue gun and some double-sided mounting tape. But I'm gonna tell y'all right now, just use the double-sided mounting tape. The glue gun, you know, it just dries so quickly, so the base wasn't sticking to the cake board. It was just annoying. And I didn't have any more double-sided mounting tape left over, but that would have been so much more better. It did stay together at the end of the day. It didn't come off, but my daughter at one point walked over to the baseboard and just yanked the Lego base off, and I was like, well, that was really easy for her. So I wish I would have used the double-sided mounting tape just for that reason, because my kids just be all up in my business. Just be all up in the business, child. The disrespect. Then I did my normal torting my cakes, layer frosting, crumb coating, final coating, the entire cake till it was nice and smooth. I covered it in the fondant, but I paneled my cakes, which I normally panel. If you guys have been watching my tutorials for a while, you know I always talk about like paneling a cake, and like I panel my cakes and I panel my cakes and I panel my dummies. I don't mess around with that, like covering the whole cake and that whole jazz. Listen, I did that for like the first 6 years of my business, and then I realized what paneling was and I never went back. So there's that. So I paneled my cakes, and in between me frosting, layer coating, what is that? Final coating and covering and fondant and all that good stuff, I would move my cake into the fridge to chill till the touch. If you don't know what chill till the touch means, that means you just touch your cake and no frosting comes on it. Then after I paneled my cakes and I got it completely covered, I worked on the top portion of the cake, which is going to be the classic Lego face, which is just the eyeballs and a smile. And I cut out a 5-inch circle. Was it 5? It was like 4-inch. I think it was like 4-inch circle using a circle cutter out of the 6-inch cake. And then from the 4-inch, I cut out like a 2-inch circle in the middle of that 4-inch, and I placed that on the top of the top tier, and I final coated that. And then I went ahead and paneled that one as well. When you panel, you always want to make sure that you panel from the top and then on the sides. For the reason of, if you panel from the top and then on the sides, the seam is at the top of the cake where you're not seeing the seam when you're looking at the cake, right? If you paneled from the side and then the top, there would be a seam along the front, basically forehead of your cake. And when you're looking directly at your cake, you'll see that. And you don't want your customers to see that. You don't want to see that. You know, just like how you hide all your mistakes like in the back. Same thing. You want to, any issues like that, any seams, you want to hide in the back or at the top of your cake, so that way clients don't see it. And you can always go back around to the seams and use your finger to smooth that out, so that way the seam can be a little bit rubbed out and not so sharp and noticeable. For his face, I took some black fondant and I just cut out some circles, 2 circles for his eyes specifically, and a long piece of fondant for his mouth. Now what you're seeing is his mouth is a little bit longer than what it is in the final cake. I actually went back after I stopped recording and cut the mouth down just a little bit more, because really a Lego's mouth starts like right under the eyes. It doesn't start outside the eyes. It started right under the eyes. So I wanted to make sure I brought that smile down. The intention for this cake was that it was going to be 3 tiers of cake, and there's going to be 2 tiers of dummies. So the blue parts were going to be the dummies, and the red and both the yellow parts were going to be all cake. Well, what happened was there was a situation where I had to question the weight of the cake. Otherwise, it would have stayed just like that. But because it was unsure exactly what the cake was going to be sitting on, I had to make a decision, and kind of like last minute decision, literally the night before. I had already baked an 8-inch and frosted it, right? I just didn't final coat it. It was crumb coated. It was ready to be final coated and then covered in fondant. But I had to make a last minute decision. Would it be better if the red tier was dummy, or would it be better if it was cake? And because I was basing this decision on height, and not height, but like more weight, and see if it was going to be sturdy enough to even travel the 30 minutes I needed to travel, I decided to go ahead with the dummy cake. It didn't alter the situation of if they had enough cake for them to eat. That wasn't the problem. The problem wasn't like, did they have enough cake? They were going to have more than enough cake, not to mention the base cake was 3 cakes put in one. And then the top cake was 2 cakes put in one. So they were good on cake. Like, they were good on cake. I just wanted to make sure the cake was structurally sound for standing up. And usually when people order cakes like this, they really want it for the look and not so much like, make sure we feed everybody. So that was the other thing that I knew I was gonna be okay with. So we changed that red cake to a dummy cake, which was probably the best thing anyways, because I started to think about how hot it was going to end up getting. That would have caused issues too. So I was trying to think of weather, weight, height, structure, all of these things. And good thing I work quick on my feet, because I had the dummy cakes I needed anyways in storage. I just pulled those out, covered in red fondant off camera, and did my thing on that. But then that went really quickly. But I went ahead and moved forward to my base, which was nice and chilled, so it was good to cut into, and put these rectangle pieces in to look like Legos, the side of Legos. Now I actually took a real little Lego and made sure that I made it the same length and height, and I just went around with that one Lego impressing in the cake so that I knew where I was cutting at, and then I can cut around that and then place all the colors in there, and it was looking great. It was looking bomb. I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and see that. Check it out, look. So the cake had to be assembled on location. Why, you may ask? Let me tell you why. One, we had to go up an elevator. That's one. Two, we had to go up like a ramp to get to the elevator. Three, we had to kind of maneuver around some objects to kind of get the cake to exactly where it needed to be positioned at. Not to mention, I drive a Nissan. 4-door Nissan. Okay, that cake assembled would not fit in my car. The base, the 10-inch base, it was 10 inches by 12 inches, which was the, not base, but the 10-inch by 12-inch bottom tier. Yeah, that was that close of not fitting in the trunk height-wise. So imagine me putting the blue dummy on top of there. I would have to take the blue dummy off because it wouldn't have fit. So I couldn't do that there. Not to mention, when you have tall tiers like this and a heavy cake, the last thing you want to do is assemble it and then deliver as assembled, because I live in Georgia and I don't know about y'all and where y'all live, but here there's a lot of hills, and it's not like a hill that you're just driving down. It's like, oh, I'm on a hill at a red light. Oh, I'm going up a hill and there's a red light and I'm sitting like, and my cake could potentially just fall back. So I thought of all those things, so I had to assemble on location. So that's what you're gonna see, is me assembling on location. And who you're seeing in the film, I want to give a shout out to Kay's Cupcakes. She is here in Georgia, Atlanta. Well, actually she's in Conyers, Georgia. She has a location here. She sells treats and cakes and things like that in her shop. You guys check her out. I will link her down below for you. So that's who did all of the treats for this sweet table. Did the event with J.M. Callister Event. That's my girl Jalena. You guys can check her out if you're looking for an event planner and designer. She does that. Her link is down below too. And also there was Kemp Decor there, and these are just people that I interacted with. I think there was more vendors. You guys can check them out on all of these people's Instagrams that I'm talking about, but there was Kemp Decor who was doing decor. All of their links are down below. The very last thing I did, shout out to my homegirl Dariana of Dariana Photography. I'm gonna link her stuff down below too. She took the day to come out and help me deliver this cake. And the last thing we did was actually use the real Legos that I went ahead and purchased for this order and started adding those on the cake. And I was using floral wire to adhere to the Legos so that way I can stick it in the cake, so that way it was like sturdy and wasn't like falling off. So shout out to her because she helped me out assemble all of those Legos on there, and that was really cool. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Jalena Simpson, where you guys get to see some of the things I'm up to on a daily basis. Also, if you're not part of the HBIC group, what are you doing? You should be, because I do get DMs from you guys asking me, how much should I charge for this cake? How much is this cake for? Or how should I do this with this cake? Or do you have a tutorial about this? You get access to all the classic tutorials I've ever taught before, and you get access to me one-on-one on a daily basis. We communicate in there and we talk about the things that we got going on in our business and how we need help with it. So check that out. And also, I am selling a pricing ebook, and it's for pre-order. So if you guys want to check that out, I mean, if you guys need help with pricing your cakes, check out my pricing ebook. You know, I teach this class, or I used to teach this class all the time online, and traveled around and taught it in person. And I wanted to go ahead and provide you guys with a pricing ebook, so that way it will be easier for y'all to learn this information I have that I need to give you guys, like that you need to have. So if you want to learn more about my pricing ebook and what you're going to get in it, again, everything's linked below, man. Just click it right down there. And just make sure you follow me on Instagram at Jalena Simpson. I will check you guys out later. Deuce. Boo boo. And to be honest with y'all, I think y'all about to get 2 tutorials this week, because this video really, I didn't expect this order to happen. So yeah, I think there may be another one. We shall see. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.